Football, America's favorite pastime. But what happens when you get a game that you think you're getting and somehow it's really not that much like it? Well, I am the game collector and this is Second Opinion Games. And today I'm going to show you a bunch of not football games.
Second Opinion Games.
Arena football for the original Xbox. I was at a friend's house and he said, hey, you want to play some football? Threw in this and I had no idea what was going on. How come a field goal is just so little of a sliver that you have to barely creep it through? How come there's no out of bounds? How come when I try to run, I just get smacked down instantly? Arena football is quite weird. When I try to blitz, it just gives me a penalty. There's so many different rules. This game is not football. However, it looks an awful lot like football, unlike some of the other games I'm going to talk about today. Blitz on the Dreamcast is at least mostly football-like. It has some over-the-top announcers, as this was an arcade port, and there's hard hitting here. However, it's 30 yards for a first down, unlike, like 10, but it is a lot easier to gain that yardage because it's just no holds barred. Even after the play is over, everyone just smacks everyone else down, and it is hilarious to play. Later, there was an NFL Street Series, but all that ultra-violence seemed to go away because a bunch of candy asses having to talk about, dramatic head injuries and all that other crap. Well, I absolutely love Blitz on the Dreamcast, and I'm not going to stop playing it just because it might hurt my brain. Dirty Big Skin Football is another arcade-style football game, a little lesser known, but you definitely know it's not football this time around because there's girls out on the field, and we all know girls can't hit as hard as men. Well, some of us know that. Some of us are in complete denial about it. But what I do love here is all of the cool characters, and I love seeing them out on the field, just trash talking. The voices here are absolutely hilarious, and it just feels like a better version of football than all those crazy Madden games. Let's talk about the early days of football, though, like real sports football, which doesn't look like that much football at all. Matter of fact, I can't do anything in this game, even though it's on the Atari 2600 with one button. The controls seem too complicated for me. I also checked out Super Football, and again, oh man, is this really football? There's not enough guys on the field, and this is kind of terrible. Let's switch over to Cyber Football. Will you try and tell me what system I am playing this on? If you guess the mighty Sega Genesis, holy cow, how did you know? Because this looks like an NES game. It also doesn't really feel like football. I can't wrap my head around it. Maybe it's the giant freaking robots on the field, and maybe it's the fact that, nothing seems to work like it should. This game really needed a bit more help. Also on the Genesis, we had Jerry Glansville Pigskin Football, a game that is 100% not football. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It didn't say football. It said foot brawl because it's a fighting game, like a medieval fighting game. Well, I guess you play with a football itself. You could kick it and pass it like any time. There's no real downs. It's mostly just, get the ball and run it into the end zone. If you could do that, you score a touchdown. I guess that's sort of football? Just like Blitz. Well, not the one I already talked about, the one for the Vetrax, where it's just X's versus O's on the field. There's passing, there's kicking, and if you're playing in one-player mode, there's only offense. There's never a defense mode, which is sort of interesting. Also interesting is when your guy gets tackled, he explodes into like a million little dots. This is probably the very best version of football for early football games. And it's also the best two-player game on the Vetrax. You want to know what else is in football? Well, soccer. And that's why Soccer Kid is definitely not football. And it's also definitely not soccer. You have a kid who just tries to walk with a soccer ball and kick people and trying to win back a trophy. This game is absolutely terrible. The controls are just rough. It was out for the 3DO. I'm playing The Adventures of Kid Cleats on the Super Nintendo, which is essentially the same game, and it's terrible. No, if you want to play a not soccer game, try GG Beckham. It's a Game Boy Advance game with a cute little kid. The controlling of the ball is actually something you can do, and it's fun to kick your little critters around and collect little orbs. Now, the whole process of the game is you have to unlock the end goal of the level, and you have to kick the soccer ball into keyholes, which makes total sense to me. However, the game itself is just so enjoyable, I really don't mind playing it. Matter of fact, it's one of my favorite Game Boy Advance games. Okay, back to not American football with Blood Bowl on the Xbox 360. When I first picked up this title, I was so psyched because it looked like an over-the-top Mutant League style football game. And what I got was like Chess, the football version. And now I think this was based off of a tabletop board game, and that's exactly what I was. Bored to death because it was all turn-based. Now you can play a sort of free-for-all not turn-based version, but it's still not any better. It's just plain terrible. I really was disappointed in this game, and you will be too. Unless you're like a total nerd, like bigger than me, and that's saying something. The PlayStation 1 had XS Junior League Football. This is like little kids doing playground football, and you can tell because the playground noise. Oh man, this game is just painful to play. Imagine thinking you're picking up a football game and you're given this, as well as, like every other game I talked about. But I think this one would just really piss you off because of how slow. And I just want to see kids get their skulls cracked in on the playground. Is that too much to ask? And I didn't really get it with this. Also on the topic of not real people playing football, how about Jerry Rice and Nuts dog football? When I picked this up for the Wii, I was not expecting anything, and that's what I got. Nothing. A whole lot of people that I wouldn't want to play as, and they're all very annoying. You have dogs on the field, which you could throw to them, and then they bark around, and you can kind of quasi-control the dogs. Now, it doesn't exactly work. Sometimes the dogs go off in their own direction. Sometimes when you try to run with the ball, you really can't, and then you get sacked by dogs themselves. And when dogs tackle other dogs, it just makes me laugh. This game is awful, but I'm still having a moderately fun time because I'm laughing at how bad it is. So, now that I'm done with all these games, what is the very best not football game out there? Well, for that, I'm going to have to turn to the almighty Atari Jaguar. Brutal sports football. Now, the only thing that makes it say that name is the fact that the ball on the field looks like a football. Everything else is thrown out the window because when you score 1 point, it's just 1 point. There's also a goalie that will try and tackle you, so you kind of want to have to kill him first. Yes, that's the whole goal of the game, to kill the other side. Now, you can win by points, but that's not nearly as fun. It's also not nearly as easy. Well, it is kind of easy. After you kill a whole bunch of the other team, scoring points is a breeze, but then it makes every game take way too long. So you might as well just try to kill everyone from the start, and luckily that's easy because there's power-ups and weapons all over the field. There's bombs, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff. After each game, you have to go in and revive some of your own players that are dead, as well as boost their stats up and get ready for the next game where you kill everyone all over again. Even though this game is not football by any means, I absolutely love playing it, and I come back to my Jaguar time after time to give it a go. Now, this game was gonna appear on the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, but it was canceled. So if you want to play it, well, you have to pick up a Jag. And that's why it is my favorite not football game. But of course, that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching.
Let's go!
Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I had a great time making it. I've been wanting to do this one for a really long time, and I finally said, you know what? I'm diving deep into it now that football season's back, and I'm having a great time with it. So let me know what your favorite not football game is, or maybe just let me know what your favorite football game is. I think it's like Madden on the Wii U for me because I can actually draw like little patterns and the guys will run them. That is a really cool idea, and sadly not many people played that game on the Wii U. So again, thanks for watching, and until later, I will see you again, guys.